What is going on, everyone? My name is Benjamin Nowak, and this is the Smallmouth Experience, video number 8 in my 14 Days of Quarantine series. Now, I'm sorry I didn't have a video last night for you guys. I figured it was day 7. Give myself a break. I'm going to go fishing and come back really strong on Sunday night, video number 8, with some fish catches, and that's what we're going to do. Now, before we dive into the video, I'm going to show you guys those fish catches, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about 5 things that you can do to help you catch more bass and have a more enjoyable time on the water. Because there was one of these tips that I'm going to talk to you guys about that I was doing yesterday that kind of gave me the idea for this video. So I'm going to send you guys into yesterday. You guys can see me go fishing, catch some fish, and then we'll come back and have a little bit of a conversation. We're out here trying to catch some bass. Water temp is nearly 45 degrees, which is not that bad. We're going to play around with some perspective mode. See if we can catch a couple bass. Have some fun. Oh, I'm dumb. I thought that was a rock and it was a fish. Yeah. Twice, dude. Same cast. I added a little bit of orange to that wobblehead trailer. Twice. First cast with it. That's a big smallie. Oh! I'm in the trolling motor. Oh, that's a big smallie, dude. Oh my word. Look at how fat he is. Look at how fat that fish is. Feeding on bait fish, he's super soft. I'm gonna get him on a scale just to see how much he goes. Zeros. Ooh, almost 4 pounds. 381. 381. It's a fat fish, dude. Thanks, fish. Whew. That's sweet. Caught that fish on that wobblehead. Little Rage Menace grub. Put a little orange on the belly of it. Help it stand out. Doesn't make a big difference. I missed 2 on the cast prior, so hopefully they keep biting. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, clear. Easy. Off-roading. Dude, I was not paying any attention and he throttled me. Oh! Wow, that's a giant too. Look at that, dude. It's another 3.5 pounder. He's so fat. Wow, it's a beautiful fish. Thanks, buddy. That is the reward of going off-roading, boys and girls. Push through a little bit of the junk, get back in here and catch some fish. So these Menace grubs that I'm throwing, these were actually in the Monster Bass box in January. So all I'm doing is taking one of these Menace grubs, 3.5 inch I think, or 4 inch Menace grub, and putting a little orange on the tails, hooking that thing on, and they're eating it. I mean, I haven't gotten a ton of bites, but both the bites I've gotten have been big. I mean, 3.5, 4 pound fish. So that's all it is. 3/4 ounce wobblehead. That's the deal. Yeah, just real slow. Now that you guys got to see those 2 fish catches, I want to really go into the setup that I was throwing, as well as a modification I made on this bait that helped me put those fish in the boat. Because I was fishing that little bit off-color river system, and I think I mentioned it actually in the video, but I was adding orange dye to the claws. And I think in the springtime, that's extremely important. It will help you catch more fish, especially when you're fishing water that is traditionally relatively clean. You add a little bit of dye and it helps those fish key in on that bait, find it, and trigger on that bait a little bit more effectively. But the overall setup, it's a 3/4 ounce all-terrain tackle wobble head, and I like this because it has the ability for me to add whatever hook I want. Because the hook on a wobble head is really important, especially with my setup. I'm throwing it on a 7.5 heavy power Temple Fork Outfitters rod, and that heavy power rod, if I'm using too light wire of a hook, when I set the hook, it's going to flex. So this Hayabusa 959 worm hook, extra wide gap hook, is not going to have any flex to it. Also, the way that hook point comes off in relation to where you put your bait, there's a little bit of a gap, so it's going to help you skin hook those fish even if they absolutely inhale this whole thing. So it just helps you with hookup ratio. So that 959 was really important for my overall setup. Now the bait I was throwing was a Strike King Rage Menace grub, and then I painted those claws orange. And that's really where the secret to this whole thing lies. As I mentioned, the water was a little bit off color, and especially in the spring, this is something that I like to do. Add a little bit of color to my bait. Help those fish key in on it. You can do this all year long, though. This is something that will help you whether you're fishing spring, summer, winter, or fall. For smallmouth bass, having the ability for them to have a kill point, a trigger point, will help you catch more fish. Tip number 1, something I always have in my boat is some sort of dye. Now, I do like the dye pen because it can be really precise with this. I can, add dots on a bait, like this tube, if I want to add a little bit of orange dots to the bait. But I also do carry traditional dip and dye style of dyes. I keep this in like a lock and lock sort of container because if this comes open, I am going to absolutely cry. It'll get all over my carpet. It'll be nasty. So I keep it in here. But having some sort of dye in your boat really, I believe, will help you catch more fish, especially when you're fishing off-colored water and for smallmouth bass that want to key in on something, they want to have a target spot. Being able to add something like chartreuse or orange or red or blue to your bait might give you that little bit of an advantage. It was first cast that I added the orange to this bait that I got bit. Second cast, I caught that fish, the first fish. And it was really one of those deals where I knew the fish were there. I could see them on my graph. As soon as I added that orange, helped this bait stand out a little bit more, those fish keyed in on it and killed it. Now also in this box, I carry, as dumb as this is going to sound, I carry nail polish, especially this one right here. Bright chartreuse nail polish. Now, I don't think this is very expensive. I got it from Walmart. It's LA Colors Color Craze nail polish, and it is bright chartreuse. This is for all of my hard baits. If I want to add a kill spot or a target spot on a hard bait, particularly jerk baits, something I like this with, I can do that with this. Again, it goes back to smallmouth being visual feeders. If they have a spot where they can hit it, that's going to help me trigger more fish to bite. Talking about scent, I carry scent in my boat. I think scent is a big thing, particularly for smallmouth. I think smallmouth, more so than largemouth, are keyed in on scent. My hands are going to smell for about 14 and a half days after playing with all of this stuff in this box. But this is Smelly Jelly, and this is the special formula with the glitter in it. It's called Special Mix, bright pink. The color pretty much fades away, but the scent stays on the bait for a long, long time. If I'm fishing a drop shot bait and I know what drop shot bait they're really keying in on, I'll dip it in there. Do that with swim baits. Any really soft plastic bait that I'm fishing slow along the bottom, I will put that scent on there because I do think it helps you get 1 or 2 extra bites throughout the day. That's really a preference thing, but I believe it helps me catch a couple extra fish and could be the big difference for me. Now we're going to move into something that's pretty common, stuff that pretty much everyone's going to have in their boat, but it's something that will save you some money and help you catch more fish on certain baits, and that is having super glue. Okay, so I have a variety of super glue in my boat. This is for any sort of bait that you thread onto a hook, whether it's a swim bait, which is where I use it most common, a jig trailer, a Ned rig bait. If you add a dab of super glue before you push that bait up on there, it will help that bait stay on the hook just a little bit longer. This will not work with ElaZtech, so do not try to add super glue to an ElaZtech bait. But that super glue is really nice when you're fishing a swim bait and you don't want to go through a full pack. You can add a dab of super glue. It'll help hold that bait on there, make it last a little bit longer for you. Now we're going to round it out with one of the most, I think, unique things that I have in my boat for smallmouth bass fishing. And I carry this all the time. and that is this right here, a bottle of Sprite. You can do this whether you're largemouth fishing or smallmouth fishing, but one thing I've noticed with smallmouth, the smaller mouth, when they eat a bait and it goes really deep in the back of their throat, because they like to crush baits, whether it's a jerk bait, a crankbait, a blade bait, which is where I go through a lot of this. This Sprite is going to help you keep those fish alive. If they choke that bait and they start bleeding, you take this Sprite, you open it up, you pour it into their mouth, and the acids from this Sprite will help cauterize that. It'll help kind of close that wound up, so they'll stop bleeding and they'll be able to swim away and live a long, healthy life. This is a real deal, important thing that I always have in my boat. I carry these smaller bottles because once I open it up, I pretty much am done with it. But it's a really important thing that I always have in my boat, especially when I'm fishing treble hook baits or on smallmouth where they're prone to bleed. Keep a couple bottles of Sprite in your boat. It'll help fish, if you hook them deep and you want to release them right away. So those are the couple things that I think you should always keep in your boat. But this one, this dip and die spike it pen really made a difference for me. Being able to doctor up this wobble head a little bit helped me catch some fish that I don't think I otherwise would have been nearly as effective with. So that's pretty much the video, guys. I really appreciate you guys continuing to watch these quarantine videos. If you like them, please go down and give it a thumbs up. Tell me what you guys want to see in future videos. I'm going to try to add the schedule down in the description below for you guys to go check out so you guys can see what's going to be coming for you guys. But lots of really cool stuff. Tomorrow's video is going to be a Q&A session. Posed a question on Instagram, asked you guys to ask me some things, and we've got some awesome responses. So I'm going to do a little Q&A for you guys. But as always, thank you guys for watching. If you're not already, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'll post lots of fishing content. Now that Michigan waters are open, I'm going to be able to fish, hopefully. Before I leave, I want to touch on one point. If you're going out fishing right now, Michigan regulation says you can only be fishing with people that live in your household. You're not allowed to share the boat with someone that is not in your household. I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, your best friend. If they don't live in your household, this is a serious thing. You're going to get a fine. I know guys that got $500 fines today going to Lake St. Clair with people that don't live in their household. So take this seriously because it is really a big problem right now. And if you don't take it seriously, you're going to be paying for it. With all of that said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Catch you guys next time. Take care. Tight lines. God bless. You're super passionate.